everyone. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here. Today, we're doing a deep dive explainer on one of the most fascinating systems hidden right under your nose, or, well, right behind your dashboard. We're going to explore exactly how car air conditioning evolved from a highly specific printing press fix into a modern mechanical marvel of thermodynamic engineering. So, if you've ever wondered how your car turns a sweltering summer drive into a crisp, refreshing cruise, you are definitely in the right place. Let's get started. Here's a quick look at our syllabus for today's explainer. We'll kick things off with the birth of air conditioning, followed by the shift from trunks to modern dashboards. Then we'll pop the hood and break down the closed-loop mechanics, looking at the heart and heat exchanger, the magic of pressure drops, and finally, delivering cold cabin air.
All right, Section 1, the birth of air conditioning. Let's actually travel back in time to see where this tech got its start.
So the story of the car air conditioner is kind of funny because the foundation of this engineering wasn't meant for cars at all. In fact, it wasn't even meant for human comfort. Back in 1902, a genius named Willis Carrier invented the first modern electrical AC unit for a printing plant in Brooklyn. Why? Simply to stop the humidity from warping their printing paper. It literally took decades before luxury automakers figured out how to bring this tech to the road, which Packard Motor Car Company finally did in 1939. And then, later in 1954, Nash Kelvinator standardized the modern integrated system we know today.
Moving right along to Section 2, trunks to modern dashboards. Let's look at how this integrated into the automotive world, because initially, it was quite literally a massive burden.
The sheer physical inconvenience of early automotive engineering is just wild to think about. That 1939 Packard 120, its factory-installed system took up almost half of your trunk space. And worse, there was no dashboard switch. So if you got too cold and wanted to turn the AC off, you couldn't just push a button. You had to physically pull your car over to the side of the road, pop the hood, and manually remove the compressor belt from the engine. I mean, can you imagine doing that on the highway? Thankfully, the true ancestor of your modern system, the 54 Nash Kelvinator, brilliantly integrated the whole shebang into the engine bay, giving people their trunks back and added a simple dashboard control switch.
Now, to fully understand how that modern system works as a piece of mechanical engineering, we first need to define the absolute lifeblood of the AC loop, and that's the refrigerant. It's a specially formulated chemical that easily changes from a liquid to a gas and back again. The big takeaway here for you students is a core principle of thermodynamics. An air conditioner doesn't actually create cold air out of thin air. Instead, it relies on this refrigerant moving through a closed loop to remove heat and moisture from inside your cabin, carry it away, and just dump it outside the vehicle. That closed loop consists of 5 distinct mechanical components operating in total harmony. We've got the compressor, the condenser, the receiver dryer, the expansion valve, and the evaporator. Understanding how the refrigerant flows through these 5 stages is absolutely key to understanding the whole cooling process. So, let's break them down.
Section 3, the heart and heat exchanger. Let's look at the first 2 parts of this mechanical loop, starting right under your hood. We begin with the compressor, which I like to call the heart of the system. Driven by a belt connected to your car's engine, its job is, well, exactly what the name implies. It sucks in low-pressure refrigerant gas that just came back from the cabin, and it packs those gas molecules tightly together. By mechanically compressing this gas, the pressure and the temperature absolutely skyrocket. The result? That low-pressure gas turns into a highly concentrated, very hot, high-pressure gas. Okay, so now we have a system full of incredibly hot, high-pressure gas, right? And we need to get rid of that heat. Enter the condenser, or the heat exchanger. It looks a lot like a grill, and it's purposefully located at the very front of your car, right in front of the radiator. As you're cruising down the road, cool outside air rushes through the grill and hits it. That rushing air absorbs the immense heat radiating off the hot refrigerant gas inside the coils. As the refrigerant loses its heat but stays under high pressure, a phase change happens. The gas condenses down into a high-pressure liquid. Boom, we've successfully dumped the cabin heat to the outside world. Before we move on to the chilling phase, that newly formed high-pressure liquid has to pass through a vital checkpoint, the receiver dryer, sometimes called an accumulator. Think of this little canister as your system's safety shield and filter. Its entire purpose is to strip out any trace amounts of moisture or physical debris from the liquid refrigerant. Why is that so crucial? Because if any water is left inside an AC system, the upcoming freezing temperatures will turn it into solid ice. That internal ice buildup would completely block the flow and literally destroy your mechanical components from the inside out. Which brings me to a quick pro tip. To keep your system running efficiently, get your AC serviced and checked for leaks. Keeping moisture out is what keeps your components alive.
Section 4, the magic of pressure drops. Now we reach my absolute favorite part of the explainer, the stage where the real chilling magic happens. So the filtered high-pressure liquid refrigerant arrives at the expansion valve or the orifice tube, depending on your car. Let's call this the chiller. Up until now, everything has been under incredibly high pressure. The expansion valve changes all of that by acting as a mechanical bottleneck. It forces that highly pressurized liquid through a tiny, precise restriction and out into a much wider, open space on the other side. Because the fluid goes from a tight squeeze to a wide open area instantly, it creates a sudden, massive drop in pressure.
I love this analogy because it perfectly demystifies the physics here. Just think of an ordinary aerosol spray can, like hairspray or spray paint. Have you ever noticed that when you hold down the nozzle and spray for a while, the metal can gets freezing cold in your hand? It's the exact same principle. By forcing a sudden drop in pressure, the liquid expands and instantly turns into a freezing cold, low-pressure mist. Our refrigerant has now gone from a hot gas to a warm liquid to an incredibly cold mist entirely through the engineering manipulation of pressure.
Section 5. Delivering cold cabin air. Finally, let's look at the component that actually interacts with the cabin space to cool you down on those blistering summer days. That freezing cold mist flows directly into the evaporator, affectionately known as the cabin cooler. Hidden deep behind your dashboard, the evaporator looks and acts just like a mini radiator. The freezing refrigerant mist flows safely inside the metal coils of this unit. Meanwhile, a blower fan takes the warm, stuffy air from inside your cabin and blows it forcefully across the outside of these freezing coils. The cold refrigerant inside just absorbs the heat right out of your warm cabin air. With the heat physically removed, the newly cooled, dried air is what blows out of your vents and hits your face.
And here's a bonus fact for you students paying close attention to thermodynamics. Think about what happens when warm air hits cold metal. Moisture condenses on the outside of those evaporator coils. It's exactly the same effect as water droplets forming on the outside of a cold glass of lemonade sitting out in the sun. That condensation drips off the coils, pulls in a tray, and drains out the bottom of your vehicle. So if you ever see your car leaving a small puddle of water on the ground on a sweltering day, don't panic. It's for sure not a leak. It's just your AC efficiently pulling the humidity out of your cabin air. Oh, and one last pro tip. To keep this evaporator running efficiently and stop a musty smell from developing over time, just run your fan for a minute before shutting off your car to dry those coils out. Once that refrigerant in the evaporator has absorbed all that cabin heat, it turns back into a warmed-up low-pressure gas, gets sucked right back into the engine-driven compressor, and starts the entire brilliant closed loop all over again. From Willis Carrier's clever fix for warping paper in a Brooklyn printing plant, to the trunk-hogging behemoths of the 1930s, to the sleek thermodynamic wonders behind our modern dashboards, it really is a stunning evolution of mechanical engineering. It certainly leaves us wondering, as automotive technology races toward a fully electric, highly efficient future, what will the next century of cooling look like? Thank you so much for joining me in class today. I hope you never look at your dashboard AC button the exact same way again.